Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and I'm really excited to say this is our last book review. We've been reviewing a Women's Prize for Fiction book every evening, and tonight we're going to be reviewing A Thousand Ships by Natalie Hayes. And can I welcome Sabina Trowbridge here to be with us? Thank you very much. And Sabina is the area manager for West London and Berkshire for WEA. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then of course we'll talk about this book, see whether Sabina thinks it should get our vote and it should be the winner, and then just touch on the shortlist prize. So Sabina, first of all, just tell us a little bit about the work that you do and the communities that your role reaches, and you know what you actually do at WEA.
Yeah, sure. So WEA is an adult education charity. We're the largest adult education charity in the country, and we've been going actually since 1903.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, some of the people watching this may have heard of the Pitman Painters, but that was the beginnings of the WEA.
Oh, okay.
And it stands for the Workers' Education Association. So it's adult community learning. We work out in the communities providing accessible learning to adults. And we work with lots of different groups, community groups. We work with schools, we work with children's centres, we work with religious organisations, libraries, basically any partners that have got students that would like courses that we have based around different themes, which are employability, cultural studies, community engagement, health and well-being.
Fantastic.
And we're a voluntary organisation. We have staff who run the targeted programme, but we also have a lot of branches. So there are very strong branches in Maidenhead in this area, and Reading and Wokingham. And they provide cultural studies courses throughout the year. We believe very strongly in taking courses to the people that need them, and working in a very democratic and engaging way, so that students really get a say in what they're learning.
That must be really fulfilling and really lovely to be playing that role in the community. And you mentioned that you use volunteers. I mean, at this point,
yes,
you'd be wanting to pitch for volunteers. I mean, if people are listening to this and thinking, oh, I'd quite like to get involved with that, is that something that you're always looking for, or?
We're always looking for volunteers, and so the branches are run by committees, so they're always looking for volunteers, and obviously it's mostly people who've retired and they bring their skills to the committees and able to run, and they put on and choose their own courses. What we've been doing since the beginning of COVID is moving our face-to-face learning online, so that our students still actually have that learning.
Absolutely.
Which has been a massive challenge, but we've done absolutely brilliantly over the last few months. And that's another way that people can get involved, through volunteering as classroom support. So normally, obviously, they'd be in a classroom, but they can go on and support with digital as well, because one of the things that we're really working hard on at the moment is reaching out to people who are digitally isolated and are not able to engage in the new world that we're living in. Yeah, and that's not just education. I mean, that's lots of things. So getting people really digitally engaged. And we've got a campaign as well to raise funds for that.
Sounds absolutely brilliant. So obviously at the end of this video we'll have details of how you can get in touch with Sabina, so please do make comments or write in the Facebook page there if you're interested. So moving on to the Women's Prize for Fiction, must admit I've really enjoyed discussing the books this year, and Sabina agreed, thank you very much, to read A Thousand Ships for us. Now I know it's pretty in vogue at the moment. The last few years there's been lots of Greek literature that's come out, and lots of books that's been written about this period of time. So with you, Sabina, how did you feel about it? Just give us the rundown on this book and whether you think it's going to win.
Yeah, well, I chose this book because, I mean, I was interested in reading it because it was from a woman's perspective. So it's the women's stories from that time. I mean, it's a period that I'm interested in.
Are you a Greek junkie? Have you read all these?
Well, I'm not. No, I'm not a Greek junkie, but I did do classical civilization A level, which was quite in those days. And the reason I did that was actually because when I was at Windsor Girls, actually, I was in a play called The Women of Troy by Euripides.
Oh, how funny!
it actually touches on, you know, the stories are the women's stories who are in this book.
Right.
So
okay.
it was something that always stuck with me, because it was very unusual to be in a play that was written such a long time ago,
Yeah.
about the women, and that was by Euripides. So I like the idea of hearing different voices. I love the idea of having women, you know, women's voices.
Am I right in saying each chapter is by a different woman, isn't it, or it's written in that way?
Yeah, it's about a different woman. It does come back to the same woman occasionally.
Yeah.
So Penelope, for example, she has quite a lot throughout. She basically tells the story of the Odyssey
Okay.
through letters to Odysseus, basically asking him why he's taking 10 years to get home, and getting increasingly fed up with the fact that he could be making a bit more effort to come back to her and not getting waylaid by all sorts of
story. It's just all about him getting home, whereas this is the women's something. Okay.
Yeah. And I like it. I like it as well, because it really tells the story. I mean, it's about war. It's about a war.
Yeah.
But it's telling the story of the women who are not really mentioned when you're in the traditional telling of this of the Trojan War. And it's telling that from their point of view, and showing that actually women are a part of war, and their bravery is there as well as the men's. The men just go off and fight and get glory, whereas the women are stuck with the repercussions of that, whether it's their husband leaving them and to bring up their child on their own, or to just sit and wait and see what's going to happen to them once their war is lost, and they are then the chattel of the king or any other warrior that happens to pick them, and their body, their child, their nothing is their own anymore. And asking the question, actually, who is the brave one? Is it those women who are sitting there waiting, or is it the men who are going off and getting the glory? So,
absolutely. And that's interesting, because there's a few stories like that in this World War I, World War II period, but I haven't ever come across stories like that at this period of time. So I do find that really interesting, especially the Greek stories. They are about big brave men, aren't they? You know, and everything that they've done. So I find that really fascinating. And and do you think it worked? It sounds like from what you've said.
It definitely worked. I mean, it was a very accessible read.
It's my next read, actually. I really want to read this.
I mean, it was really helpful having, I mean, even though I know, you know, quite a bit about it, it was really helpful having a list of all the characters, because there were an awful lot of them. The Trojans, the Greeks, and all the gods and the goddesses that are also in there as well, and because they play a part in it, in actually manipulating the humans. And you can see why the Trojan War actually started. I mean, obviously it started because of an action by Paris, but it kind of went behind the scenes as to actually why the gods and goddesses wanted to have a war to get rid of all the extra humans, and actually that were weighing the earth down.
That's a really good advert for the book for me, because even though I've wanted to read this type of book and about the Greeks, I don't have that knowledge in the past that you have, that you've studied, that you've enjoyed, and I've thought, oh, is it going to be a bit not very accessible for me? But that's good to know that actually.
No, it's very accessible. Yeah. And one of the things it's made me want to do actually is go and look at some more art and also some of the pottery, to actually look at the characters again with fresh eyes, I think. And I mean, I think Natalie Haynes took, you know, some of her inspiration from that. There's a lot you can see in London.
I have heard her interviewed, and I know she's really passionate about the subject, isn't she? She really life, and like I said, somebody who I'm on the outside thinking, oh, this looks interesting. She's really drawn into it, really.
Yeah, so. And she's very witty as well, and she, you know, you can see that part of her coming out. I mean, even when the muse is being asked to tell the story at the beginning, she's kind of slightly long-suffering, and you've got Homer, who's the poet, is not named because the muse is never named, but Homer's not named in this, and it kind of just flips everything on its head, which is, it's really.
So did it meet your expectations? Like you said, you did ask me, can I read this one? You were keen to. Did it meet your expectations?
Yes, it did. Although having just read Girl, Woman, Other, it was, I mean, going to the question of which one I think would win, I think it would be Girl, Woman Other. I found that more interesting in the way that it was written. I mean, it's funny because when I looked at the page, I'm quite traditional when it comes to reading prose, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to get on with this.
No
But it was like
punctuation.
after half a page, I was absolutely hooked on the way that she wrote. It was like a stream of consciousness, but not. It was just so accessible. And as Poonam said as well yesterday about, you know, the walk along the river on the South Bank, and then going into the National Theatre, and I love the theatre, so it was kind of like, I just thought, oh, this is going to be this will be the book for me.
Definitely. Actually,
even before I got beyond page 2.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you on that, because I also fell in love with that book, and looks like we're both agreeing that we think that's a good contender for a winner on Wednesday night. But yeah, that kind of national, if you love books, you know, maybe you like theatre too, London, that National Theatre, that walk, absolutely, it really sort of drew me in there. And I love the way, maybe a bit like this actually, the way that the chapters intermix with each other with the different women characters.
But I think that the characters were much more developed in Girl, Woman, Other.
Yes.
And you could see that linking. Again, I had to keep checking back because some of the characters, because there were a lot of characters in that.
Absolutely. Is it one where there are lots of characters?
Yeah, but yeah, no, I thought that book was very original.
But then it's got a big contender. I mean, there's the third Hilary Mantel in there. I mean, what do you think? Lots of people are saying that she's going to be the winner. What's your thoughts on that? I know you want Girl, Woman, Other to win, but
yeah, I haven't read that third. I've read the other two. I haven't read the third one yet, and I've got a big stack of other things I'm going to read first. So I think it would be nice. Yeah, I think it would be nice for something else to win that one.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't know whether you've touched Hamnet at all. I mean, I would really recommend that one. I know. I
listened to Kate talking about that, and I definitely, yes.
Absolutely beautiful. Especially for, I'm not a huge person into historic novels, which is why the list is so exciting, because I don't think there's been a naff one, you know, in there. I mean, it's absolutely beautifully written, and not a great one for historic, but I want to go to Stratford now and have another look round and this great, we all know and his plays, and we rave about his plays, but his actual life, and you know, and what happened, obviously the sadness of losing his child. So it's a really, really big contenders. But your job tonight really is to get our RBWMs to vote for 1,000 Ships. So I know you've actually given it a good vote, even though personally you like Girl, Woman, Other.
No, but I do like 1,000 Ships as well. So I think if you
good contender.
It's definitely a good contender, and it would certainly get you thinking much more about that period. And I think that's one of the key of any book for me. It's making me want to go and find out more about, you know, as you said about Hamnet, for example, just more about the period, going to the places and immersing yourself in that life, that culture, that historical period.
Absolutely. Well, I hope, thanks Sabina, that's fantastic, and thank you for reading it. And I know, as I said, it's the next one on the list for me, and that really has inspired me to read 1,000 Ships. And if you are maybe thinking to yourself you're not sure which one you're going to vote for, then I hope that
vote for 1,000 Ships.
Yeah. 1,000 Ships. So please do keep watching later on tonight, where we're going to give a little summary of all of the videos. You can go back and watch all the videos as it's going along. We have Liv from the Windsor Homeless Project talking about On Beauty, actually, by Zadie Smith, which is one of the winners, because it's been going for 25 years, which is why it's so exciting. So thanks all very much, and thank you very much, Sabina. And
my pleasure.
Please do make sure you vote and comment on our books. And of course, they are all available at our libraries, whether hardback, paperback, or online. So do please, if you haven't read them, check out and do come and get them. So thanks very much, Sabina, and good luck everybody with the voting.